Welcome back, everybody, to another Non-Typicals podcast. This week we are on episode 15 with Gauge Gulvas from Hardwoods Hunting TV. If you can hunt it, Gauge has hunted it, so listen along and see what he's all about.
All right, we're back. It's episode 14. We have our buddy of ours, Gauge Gulvas. Basically, Gauge, introduce yourself, where you're from, how you know us, and just get down to the scoop about yourself so our listeners can know who you are.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Like I said, my name's Gauge Gulvas. I'm from Central PA. I love pretty much everything about the outdoors. Try to spend all my time in the outdoors. So always try and do something there. And that's kind of how I met these guys, through hunting and stuff. I'm from DuBois, and they're from the town next to me, so we weren't too far growing up. So we've known each other for a few years now, and we've done a little hunting with one another and whatnot. We shoot bows together, and yeah, I'm pretty big into the traditional archery, and love to fly fish. Try to do as much as I can, all kinds of seasons. I try to do them all. But I also have a YouTube channel. It's called Hardwoods Hunting TV. I got about 150 videos on there. Some are good, some aren't. You can go check it out. You might find some of them entertaining. I also have an old podcast. It's called The Wet Snood. I haven't done one in a couple of years, but you can go back there. I have about 10 episodes on there. If you're bored, give them a listen. But yeah, that's about it.
So, big question for you. We know you're a big trad guy, traditional guy. How did you get started, and what made you go down that rabbit hole?
So back in my freshman year of high school, my one buddy Weston got a recurve, and we would shoot in his basement and just kind of piss around with it, and kind of got to thinking, I'm like, man, it'd be pretty cool to actually hunt with these one day and get a deer with it. It'd be quite the accomplishment. And I was the first year I was hunting with the compound, so I was like, if I get a buck this year with my compound, I'll give traditional archery a try next season. And lucky enough, in the last evening of the season in archery, I ended up getting a buck. So I was like, oh, next year I'll give it a whirl. So I dove into that a little bit, and yeah, the rest is history. I just went full out, and ever since I got into it, I haven't barely even shot a compound.
And your cousins are pretty big in the traditional world, correct? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah. So whenever I first got started, I got a bear grizzly, and then I got a hold of I started doing research, and I started talking to my cousins. They've been doing it for a while. They're top of the game. They're phenomenal archers and phenomenal hunters. But got a hold of my cousin Cody Gulvas, and he took me under his wing, and he taught me all his little secrets. And yeah, I just really took off. He showed me how to shoot, and I've just loved it ever since.
So what was you want to tell your first harvest with the recurve? Because obviously it's going to be pretty important in your career starting out, obviously. Like that's the first harvest.
Do your first one or your favorite one?
Yeah, whatever one's best.
I think the first one might be my favorite. It was freaking exciting, but I'll just give a quick rundown because of the whole first season. The first year taking it out, everyone was calling me crazy. Even to myself, I'm like, this is pretty hardcore, but I don't know what I got myself into quite yet. And I actually the first day I went out with the recurve, I forgot was using a glove at the time. Forgot my glove at home, so I was like, I'm about to shoot bare fingers, which I've never even done before. First morning I ever went out with the recurve, I'm like, holy crap! But the first Wednesday of the season, I had two does come up. They walked right to the base of my tree, and I was in an old ladder stand, and I didn't have like a stabilizer bar on it because I was only up, I think, 12 feet at the time. And I was shaking so bad that the tree stand squeaked, and the doe heard that and jumped back to about 13 yards. So I aimed low, and I shot right underneath her, and she jumped back to about 25 yards, and I flung another arrow, missed her by about 2 feet. I just sat there in the tree thinking to myself, what did I get myself into? But I stuck true with it. And the fourth Thursday, I planted a little food plot by my house here. So after school, got home, went up to that food plot, and right before dark there, I had a little 8-point come out. And I passed him up, and I thought to myself, man, I shouldn't have passed him up. First buck of the recurve, a little 8-point would have been just fine. So I was kicking myself for that. And then I had a doe come through, And right behind the doe, I thought I saw a nice buck. So I let the doe go through. And then I thought to myself, man, I should have shot her too, because I still get to get a deer with the recurve. I'm like, I don't care what the next deer is, I'm shooting it. Ended up being a real nice 8-point come out, coming to my left. And it was like very, very last light. And I drew back and I held for about 10 seconds. And he finally got into a shooting lane. I gave him a real soft meh, and he stopped at 12 yards. And I just pulled through my clicker and hit him, double lunged him. He ran about 90 yards, piled up. But that first one with the recurve really was special. So I really like proved, it was my first buck I ever got by myself too. So I kind of proved a lot as a self accomplishment. I proved a lot to myself that I could do it as long as I could just put my mind to it and staying true. I could get a buck with a recurve. And then ever since then, I have just pretty much, I never went back to the compound or even thought about heading back that direction.
Now, what kind of setup were you running then?
What I was running back then?
Yeah, weight wise.
Yeah, so I was using the 39-pound Bear Grizzly. It's 58-inch bow, and I was shooting the traditional only arrows. They're full length, and I was running a 150 grain Magnus Stinger on the front, and the total arrow weight was 440 grains.
So you've always stayed underneath that 45-pound mark for the most part.
Yeah, I used that Bear Grizzly was 39 pounds, and then I went to the border for a couple years. That bow was 46 pounds, and then I'm back to a Bear Tamerlane, which is also 39 pounds again. So I've always been that low 40 range.
Yep, most guys are all about poundage, thinking that's what it takes to kill a deer. But I mean, you've killed multiple critters with bows well underneath 45 pounds, including a couple of bears too. So I think that speaks for itself.
A lot has to go into the arrow setup. I think I did a lot of research on the arrow setup. I actually I hit a bear 2 years ago, and I was using a 69-inch 35-pound bow. And for hunting, I did a lot of research. I actually put out a video about it all the research I found and conclusions I made. But that bow was just it was just too long, because you can shoot a 35-pound bow and easily kill a deer or bear as long as it's short, because it gets the short limbs bend more, get more of a snap, you get more speed. Or there's a real long, because I like shooting a longer bow, they're more forgiving, more accurate. Where those long bows, they just don't get the speed that you need to kill. So through all my research, I found that my favorite setup, what my ideal setup I think would be, is a 66-inch recurve at about 43-pound draw, and then using an arrow that's roughly between 10.8 to 11.2 grains per pound, or just in median's 11. So like 11 grains per pound, I think is about perfect.
So what are you looking at? What's your favorite like total arrow weight, roughly? Right around that 500 mark?
Right now I'm running a 485 grain arrow, which I think's, last year I got a full pass through. I liked about that 450 grain, because you can still run, because I'm running 250 grains up front, so you still get the pretty good FOC, but you also get a little lighter arrow, so you still get the speed to, because the recurve shoots slow as it is, but I'm sorry, I was getting text messages.
No, you're good.
Like I said, the recurve shoot pretty slow as it is. So if you can get a little extra speed, it doesn't hurt. Like, these guys are shooting like 600, 700 grain arrows, and I'm sure those arrows have to be arcing real bad, which I like a little bit of speed, because the bows are quiet, but the deer still duck a little bit. So that any speed you can get, I'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. I know last year I was shooting, my total arrow weight was right around 400, and that did the job. I got an exit hole on my bucks. That's all that really matters, as long as you're getting the penetration you need, and that was at 20 yards too. So
absolutely. What was your point weight?
200 was a point weight.
Yeah, I also think you should run anywhere between 150 and 250 up front. I think you need at least 150 for that FOC, but I think anything over 250 is almost too heavy and kind of get too much of an unbalance in the arrow.
Yep, I agree with that, and you really notice how much it slows down the arrow too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Also, I'm using those X impacts, which they're the micro diameters, like the 0.166s, and those micro diameters really fly good and they penetrate. Definitely, the science behind it is definitely true for penetration.
Oh, definitely. You're the one, you got me into those same arrows, and I've had nothing but good luck with them. I switched up to the Instincts just because they're a little bit cheaper, but they're the same size shaft and everything else, and I don't think they break quite as easy.
Those are the ones with the wood wrap on them.
Yeah, the only difference is the only reason they're cheaper is just because of the straightness. Those X impacts I think are 0.001. They're like perfectly straight.
Yeah, that's a good arrow.
So Gage, why don't we talk about like your transition from a compound hunter into a recurve hunter?
Okay.
You know, what
Yeah.
what was the hardships and what were those? I mean, I know Alex got a bunch of us into at least shooting a recurve, but it's like there's definitely differences, and you got to kind of like break that barrier from a compound to be able to shoot a recurve efficiently.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a hard transition for me. I feel like it was fairly easy because I only used a compound for 1 year, like I said, and then I just dove in and I got lucky. But for most guys, they've been using compound for a while, and I would highly advise buying a recurve and looking into it, even just to shoot around to have fun, because they're a freaking blast to shoot. And even just shooting a recurve like a lot will make you a better compound shot for sure. Like once you learn the ins and outs of how to shoot a recurve correctly, and you apply that to using a compound, you will shoot your compound 100% better. So I'd highly advise getting into the traditional archery aspect. But like I said, it's a blast. But to transition over from the compound to the recurve, I feel like it's really just like a mental thing. I always use the term. I call people hungry. I call them hungry. It's saying that they're too hungry to get put down the compound and use the recurve for the year. So I always tell people stop being so damn hungry. But I think that's about it. It's more of a, if you want to get one with the recurve, you're gonna have to put the time in. Obviously, you're gonna have to shoot a lot. I would say the past few years, I bet I shoot about 10,000 shots in the summertime every day. This year I've been a little behind on the 8 ball, getting into it again. But the last 3 years, I shot almost year round, shooting probably 50 arrows a day, which is pretty much, you don't have to shoot that excessive, but you got to shoot about every day to really stay consistent if you want to be confident enough in the woods to shoot up to 20 yards. But yeah, I just think, yeah, you just got to not be as hungry. You just got to commit to it. And you also have to realize that if you're using a recurve, you're gonna go a year without throwing a buck tag with that in archery. It's just something you're gonna have to give up. But just depends on how bad you really want it, I guess. But also, it is tough to you can shoot a compound up to 40 yards, and you can shoot, you know, good side. You feel confident to shoot in the woods 40 yards, and you get the recurve, and even if you are shooting good, 15, 20 yards, that's about all the more you're gonna get.
I'll go off of that because I've been dabbling with the recurve now for, this is going to be my first legit year. I wouldn't consider last year really a legit year, but I'm at the concept that I will say that I think I'm just too hungry. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm too hungry. I just can't. I guess I can't get myself to jump the gun to say that, hey, I can't shoot past 20 yards because my groups are like you said, 40-yard group for me and my 20-yard group are about the same. Like I don't want to shoot 20 yards with the recurve, but I know I could probably do it. But it's just to the point now where like 20 and 40, that's 20 yards difference that I just can't do. But I will say I shoot my compound 100 times better by shooting my recurve there for like, honestly, there for a while. Whenever the kid was like my daughter was born there in December, I was shooting it in the in between like changing diapers and stuff like that. I just shoot the recurve in the basement at like 15 yards every night. And now picking up my compound here a couple weeks ago, like I was shooting recurve the whole entire time. And I was like, I just don't feel confident enough. I'm just going to try the recurve. I'm going to try the compound out again. And I shot my compound better than I have in my entire life this year. And it's just like, I just can't. I'm hungry. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I am. I'm hungry and I can't jump yet. I'm gonna try killing a doe this year. Is what my goal is. I'm gonna try killing a doe, and if a good buck comes out, I may sling an arrow. It's tough. Like you were saying, it's a big mindset that you just gotta know. I'm gonna eat a tag soup is what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah, it's a big adjustment just to get past the fact that you might not get a buck, or if a buck walks by at 25 yards, you're probably gonna have to let it walk through without getting a shot off, which is just something hard to accept to yourself. Because then you really, in like the long run, hunting the recurve too, I think makes you a better hunter, because you gotta. For me, like the way my dad taught me how to hunt was we always set very close. Like I don't know if I've ever shot a deer with a bow over 20 yards. But all my setups are always for like 12, 13, 14 yards. They've always had, even when I was hunting with a crossbow growing up, always super close shots. So for me, I didn't have to change my setups a whole lot. I started focusing a lot on pinch points and funnels more because I need that consistency of deer coming in close. But even just hunt with recurve for a little bit makes you a better compound hunter because you think about your steps a lot more and you learn how to get closer to deer hunting with a recurve.
I'll agree with like getting closer and stuff like that, which I've never shot a deer honestly past 30. Like my bucks, I've shot does past 30 yards, but I've never shot a buck past 30 yards. Honestly, I don't think I've shot a buck past 20
I'm
yards.
gonna cut this out, Cody, but I remember a video 70 some yards.
What? That was a doe. I said I shot does far, but I've never shot a buck. Honestly, I've never shot a buck past 25 yards. So I will say though, honestly, like shooting the compound to the recurve aspect, yes, you're gonna have to shoot way closer, 100%.
Absolutely.
And I think, Gage, that having your dad teach you to hunt deer closer, you know, typically a lot of people probably set up at least 20 yards away from just say a trail. You know, having your dad say, hey, set up 12, 13 yards away from a trail or whatever, so your setup is that close, that probably really helps you once you convert it over to a recurve.
Yeah, it absolutely did. I just like the way that we hunt is always, the mindset is always to be closer, as close as possible. If you could put the end of the arrow right against them and shoot, that's how we tried to do it. But even with anything we've hunted, turkey, deer is always as close as possible. Is how we set up and tried to hunt for them. So yeah, the conversion over wasn't too much of a change for me.
So I know, so we hit recurve pretty well. I know you're really big into that. Let's talk about your YouTube page a little bit, dude. You are killing it. You got, let's see, you got 2.92 thousand subscribers. I mean, you've been putting in the work. I seen that your first video was 7 years ago. How old were you then?
I think I started when I was 14. I think I started in 8th grade. Yeah, my buddy Coy Donahue, which I do my podcast with, he got a camera and told me to start filming. I'm like, if you're starting, I'll start too. So I grabbed a camera too. I think I started with a little Sony. It's one of those little Sony handy cams. I think it was something like the 240 or something. It's actually a really nice starter camera. It's like $100. It takes 1080p footage, and yeah, I used that for a long time. I got captured a lot of film on that. And the nice thing about those little cameras is you can put them right in your pocket, put it right out, and you can be recording in 5 seconds. But yeah, I got into it a little bit then, and yeah, I don't know. It really took off. Like I just really liked it. I enjoyed doing it because like just going back and be able to watch your hunts, even if you don't get the kill shot or anything on it, just be able to go back and just like relive that hunts and the actual seeing what you saw when you were there at the time was really cool to me. So that first year I really got into filming. It was archery season, and I actually missed a couple opportunities on some bucks I would have shot trying to get them on film. And then ultimately I did get that first year I filmed. I did my buddy Heath filmed me shoot that buck on the last day. But yeah, I just really enjoyed filming. I started posting to YouTube, and yeah, I just to take videos and post. And then I think it was like my junior year in high school. I just thought, I'm like, I'm gonna take this a little bit more serious. I'm gonna put some more time into it, upgrade my equipment. And so I started doing that, and I had a couple of videos that did really well, and the channel started taking off, and the rest is pretty much history. I just like I said, I'm gonna do it either way, so I might as well post my videos for other people to watch too.
Right. And I mean, dude, like I said, you're killing it. We know how much work it takes to go into a successful YouTube page. I kind of claim a successful YouTube page is if you hit that 1K barrier. But yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of work, and I really like your videos. I think it's cool how you got like a whole variety from fly fishing to bear hunting to deer hunting, turkey hunting, rattlesnake hunting. I mean, you do everything, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah, like I said, very rarely do I enter the woods without a camera in my hand because you never know what you're gonna see, and usually by the time you don't take the camera with you, you see something cool that you could have caught on video. So yeah, I'm always filming, trying to make videos the best I can.
I think the Handycam, like you were saying, the one that you were talking about, that is like the best camera that if you're going to start doing it and you just want to try to see if you like it or not, that'd be the route to go for anybody. And I've already said this before to other people. That's the route to go. That $250 mark. There's like the $100 one, but the $250 mark, it's like $200 or it might be $300 now. They keep on, the way everything is, it's going up in price, but that right there is probably the route to go, the cheaper route. Just see if you can like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't really need a really fancy camera to get any good video. You can, like I said, that Sony Handycam takes great video, and it's cheap. I think the biggest thing with self filming, especially for a tree stand, is getting a good tree arm. If you're gonna spend the money anywhere, spend it on a good tree arm. Because I had a real crappy tree arm for years, and it screwed me out of getting a lot of film because it was just a real cheap one that was broken all the time. I always had it taped up or something, and it screwed me out of getting some pretty cool video. Not have it, but now that I have the good equipment.
What are you running? What camera arm are you running right now?
I have that Muddy Pro arm right now, which I like a lot. The only thing I don't like about it is it's pretty freaking heavy, and it's only a 2-piece. So, because I'm thinking about getting into the saddle this fall. I know in the past I've talked a lot of crap on the saddles, but I actually think I am going to get into one this year. Yeah, stop laughing. Stop laughing. But I think I might commit this fall. But I know with the saddle, I've been looking into it. The guys really recommend using the 3 arms. It was a little shorter, so you can get the camera in between, used for filming.
You can put your diaper on, buddy.
It is a diaper. I still don't like it, but I think I am going to get one.
I'm not gonna lie to you though. Check out, and it's nice for even it's not as long as what you're probably looking at for though. Is the 4th Arrow? What is it called? The Batten. I think it's the Batten one. It's the cheapest one to have right now. It's
Okay,
I liked it a lot. And it's nice for even it's light too. It's I liked it a lot for self filming, even for my purposes. The only thing I will say is if you're gonna get something for that, you're looking at like I think they're like 120, 130, but then you're gonna have to get a good fluent head for it.
Yeah.
It comes with one with it, but it's not that great. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's my next purchase.
Yeah.
It's a good fluent head for it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I have like one of those little. It's a 4th Arrow. It's the 3-arm one. I used to have their great big one that would hold like a giant camera, like up to 10 pounds, I think. And dude, that thing it sucks to lug around, and it's sad because I can't even get rid of the damn thing now because everyone knows that it's not the one you want. But yeah, I really like that little 3-arm one. It's pretty nice for saddle hunting.
Yeah, the Muddy Pro treat me pretty well. It does everything I need, just a little bit big, I think, if I get into the saddle hunting. I have to test it out and see how it works.
So what saddle company are you looking at?
I looked a little bit. I really haven't dove into it much. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to do it, but I probably am. I've been looking at the Tethered. They have what I found from the internet like the best reputation.
Yeah, dude.
A little pricey.
I think we all have Trophy Line, and dude, my brother ended up getting a Tethered, and it's like wearing underwear. They're so light.
I will say, look at Latitude too. Latitude, I tried their saddle at that show, and the Latitude one was comfy too. But I think I haven't tried the newer Mission though. Alex, do you have the newest Mission, or what do you have? I don't know. I know Alex gets a new one every year.
I kept it traditional. Gage, you like to keep it traditional. Go with the leather one from Trophy Line. I'm telling you, it's comfy. I love that thing. It like forms right to you, and it ends up just breaking right into fitting you perfect. It's a little bit on the heavier side, but I don't mind it. I don't even know it's there. And then in the later season, it's a little bit more insulation. So, but those Tethered ones, pretty much all the companies are the same anymore. They're all making them lightweight saddles. It really don't matter what name brand you get into anymore. They're all pretty close to the same thing. But Tethered's definitely one of the top in the game for sure.
And they'll all break the bank.
Yeah, I'm going to spend the money too because with hunting stuff, I don't cheap out because you definitely get what you pay for. So I have no problem spending my money on hunting stuff because obviously I'm going to use it. But do you guys recommend using like a big platform? Because I've heard some guys say even a small platform, but I couldn't imagine. I think the bigger the platform, the better. Like even one big enough you could actually stand on without having a line.
I have the biggest one that you can get. It's heavier, but I like the bigger platform. But if you're gonna look at one, get like the medium range size, that one that way you get the best of both worlds. You get a little bit on the lighter side, and then you got enough room for your feet. If you like, you get both. Like they have different sizes now. They have like the one little steps that are legit one step, like your platform for like a step. Then they got the whole way up to like a huge one, like almost. I don't even know how big mine is. It's probably about, I'd say easily to 12 inches like wide. It's like almost a foot. And then I think Alex, you have the medium one. I don't know what one you have. I think you have the EDP.
Yeah. So whenever I started, I was running a Hawk helium stick, and I bought just one of them little. It's just a little rectangle platform. It's big enough you can just keep your toes on it. I mounted it on that stick. I was like, oh, this is lightweight as it'll be. And I mean, it was nice if you were doing just I don't know, a couple hours sit, but not even that. I didn't enjoy it because, like you said, Gage, it's nice to be able to take your weight off your saddle and just, stand on the platform. Now, Cody's is a little bit too big for my liking. It's just, I'm a minimalist, so I like to pack small. Cody's is bigger, which he likes it. And a lot of people do like the bigger one, especially if you're not packing in real far or anything like that. But I got the EDP, which is smaller than the one he has. It's just a littler one, but it's nice because I could, if I had to, I could just take all the weight off of my tether itself and stand up and shoot right off that platform without having any weight on the saddle. But I would definitely recommend buying one that you can stand on. I wouldn't go towards like the mini step or anything like that.
I use Garrett has a tethered one. It's like the medium one. I used it one day because he borrowed mine. I don't know why it's just for some reason I borrowed his. It was really nice. I'm not gonna lie to you. If you're gonna look at something, I look at tethered all around. We all got their one step. They're like new sticks. I think they're one stick steps, and they are freaking nuts. I like them a lot. The new steps they got.
Yeah, I got the Hawk helium sticks last year. I just bought a set, the 3-pack, the long ones, to get into this. So yeah, we'll see where the road takes me. I haven't really got into it a whole lot yet, but I have shot out of a couple of them, and they are actually like, I didn't think they'd be as comfortable as they are. They're pretty sweet. The only thing I've heard though is when you're switching over is your ass gets cold being out in the wind instead of being tucked up against the tree. Heard that your ass and your back get pretty cold quick.
That's why you need that leather one.
Yeah, probably with the lighter ones. I have the heavier duty one, the first one that they came out with, and I sweat. I'm not gonna lie to you. Even in the wintertime, I sweat. It's freaking warm.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go into basically, honestly, what is your favorite hunt ever? Like, not even like your first recurve kill, but like your favorite, like, if you could go back and do it again, what would be your favorite memory of all time hunting?
Story time.
Yeah, there's a lot. Every hunt is always a good hunt, but yeah, one of my favorites coming to my mind right now was my girlfriend's first gobbler. That was one of the most exciting hunts I've ever been on, just because I had like no control in the situation. That so there was a gobbler we heard him. He's close to the house here, and we heard him every day for 2 weeks. It didn't matter what time we went out. We call off the porch, we hear him gobble for 2 straight weeks. Any time of the day you went outside and called, he would gobble. So we went up after him the first time. He gobbled at about 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So we went up, and we went after him. He was gobbling good, and then he shut up out of nowhere. I'm like, I'm like, I can't spook him. And all of a sudden, I look, here come a red fox sneaking through. So a red fox came in, busted up that hunt. So I went back the next morning, and there's like a flat on this top, and there's a little knoll in the middle. And he was roosted right on that other side of that knoll. So he set up on the other side of the knoll, and I seen him fly down. He flew right down the other side of the knoll, but he never come up over. And he said about 100. I watched him. He said at like 100 yards, strutting all morning, and eventually went out to a field. So I was like, all right, I know exactly right where he's flying down. So the next morning we got in there. We woke up at like 4 a.m, and we were set up there at like, it was a good hour before we even got lights. We snuck in, and we got tucked in real tight to the roost, and we're sitting there, and he gobbled, and he was just about right above us. Like it couldn't have worked out any more perfect to set up. Like I honestly don't know how I didn't spook. We were in that close, and so I had her sit in front of me, and I sat behind her. And I was too far from her. I couldn't hear that well, so he gobbled about 5 times, and didn't he fly down at 5:39 in the morning? It was still pretty dark. Like you couldn't see that well. I couldn't even believe he flew down, because I told him, like, when you see him fly down, because I had that single shot 410, said cock the hammer back and get ready. So he flies down to about 8 steps, and he flies down right behind a big cherry tree. And he's sitting there. He sat there for 3 minutes. You hear him, and then he gobbled twice. And let me tell you, that close, whenever, because turkeys, the gobblers, they can kind of control how loud their gobbles are. And I don't know if he heard us come in the morning, maybe thought it was a hen for some reason, because I don't know why he flew right down to us like that. But he was gobbling freaking loud, and it almost like you could really almost like hurt your chest how loud he was gobbling right there in front of us. But I could see her aiming in the scope, and here I didn't even realize it. That was the first time she ever even used a scope at all, because I have a 4-power scope in that shotgun. It's the first time she ever even used a scope. So she said she kept looking through, and it was just all black. And I didn't know that. I'm like, shoot. So the thing was 8 yards. I couldn't see it, but she was to my left of me a little bit, so I figured she'd be able to see it. And finally, I hear her say, she goes, "Can I shoot?" I said, "Yeah." So she shoots, and I look, and she has a history of missing turkeys quite a bit. So I look for it to fly, and I don't see it. And I look for it to run, I don't see it running. So I'm like, holy shit, she must have got it. So I go running up there, and I'm looking around. I don't see it anywhere. I'm like, where'd this thing go? I look down, it's right beside my feet, dead as a stone. Shot like 8 yards. Gorgeous God. That was May 28th. She shot at 5:42 in the morning. It's the earliest turkey I've ever seen shot. But I was so jazzed up because I just had no clue what was going on. I wanted to get that bird so bad. But that was definitely one of my favorite hunts. That's the one that comes to my mind.
So are you a bigger turkey hunter or deer hunter?
Oh, turkey's definitely my favorite. Spring turkeys by far what I live for. But I really enjoy the change of seasons. Like a lot of guys, like Alex was talking about earlier, he's a real big. He said he could hunt deer every day. He said he wishes it was the rut 365. I love the change of seasons. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm into all of them. When the time is there, I'm all in. But I like going from one to the next. I was talking to a buddy about this the other day. Like, beginning of January, I'm hunting rabbits with beagles, and then hunting predators at night. Then it kind of changes into like February. You start looking for sheds. Then March and April around, I start fly fishing then, and then I get into turkey, and I hunt turkey real hard. I pretty much only hunt turkey. And you kind of get back into fly fishing in June, and then now I'm into the rattlesnake hunting, so that takes up my middle of my summer. And then coming up real short here is getting like 3D archery season. Shoot 3D, then September rolls around, so then you start hunting squirrels. And then by the time October rolls around, everything's in full swing. So it's just a constant change. But I try to, there's a tag for something, I try to get into it, and I have a tendency where if I get into something, I don't do it half-ass. If I get into something, I want to be the best at it. So it makes it fun whenever you're doing a bunch of. Also in September, a couple years ago, I got into calling elk in PA, which it ain't exactly too hard because it's PA elk, but it's a blast. And because last year we called in a bull. It was probably about 350 inches. He's like 20 yards bugling in our face, which is, you just wish you had a tag, but it's still exciting. But yeah, I love doing it all. If I can do it all, I do it all, and I try to be the best I can at it all as well. But yeah, turkey by far my favorite. If I had to pick one, it'd be turkey.
I feel like anything you can call in is
See,
fun,
that's what
that's just
Absolutely.
my aspect. I feel like just
like I hate the interact like with turkeys, for instance. Like, you're calling them, you think they're hammering, they're coming closer, then they hang up 40 yards, you can't see the damn thing. And they do that all season. Like deer, dude, like when you got a deer like reacting to your calls, they're coming. And I don't know. That's just
the difference is some fucking Joe Schmo went in there and fucking shot at the motherfucker and put BBs in his chest and he's scared shitless. That's what the heck the problem is. Or somebody scared it earlier before season started. It's honestly, I like it because
you're going to start calling them in at March.
Fuck it. Honestly, if you can't be good enough to call them in later in the year, then fuck it. Honestly, it's a lot of dedication. You can't just give up and quit. Honestly, that's the big thing. Everybody quits. Everybody gives up. If more people just kept on going, you're gonna eventually get one to come in and commit and do the shit.
Yeah. Speaking on that right there, there's a lot of guys I know that aren't the best woodsmen, but they consistently get nice deer and they get turkeys every year because they pound it. That they just every day, every chance they get, they're out there, and if you spend every chance you get, you will get the opportunity. It's like as long as you're pounding it, you probably will get the opportunity. You don't even have to, be all that, but just
It's
doing
dedication. Dedication's what it comes down to with turkey hunting. If you're dedicated enough and
just
you put the time in, you're gonna kill one
even like
eventually.
hunting deer. That one year, a couple years ago, was the first year I didn't get a buck in archery, and I had a hunt rifle. And my God, just like that. I mean, I only missed like 2 days that season. That was my first year of college was that COVID year, so all my classes were online. So I could hunt every day, and I went every single day. And after a while, it gets to be kind of a grind, even though you love it. After a while, you kind of wake up in the morning like, man, I'd like to sleep in this morning, but you just keep going, and I get paid off for me. I ended up getting a buck on December 10th, the last Thursday of rifle. It just compounding it.
That's the crappy part I always see whenever I take off a week in November. After the third day or fourth day doing it nonstop, you're like, oh, freaking screw this crap. This sucks.
So I've been very fortunate. Last 3 years, I've had the whole month of May off to hunt turkey, and in the last 4 springs, I've only missed 5 days of turkey hunting, and that gets to be a real grind. End of May, when waking up at 4:30 every morning, you start to get pretty tired. You're pretty worn down.
It 100% is a grind, no matter what you're hunting. If you're going consistently every day after day after day, it's that wake up, I think, that gets you. You're freaking going nonstop the whole entire time. The only thing that saves PA, and I will say this right now, is at the beginning of the season, you're done at noon. And I always take a nap when I'm done at noon. I could take an hour, 2 hour nap whenever I get back at noon. It gives me a break. But if it was all day long, the whole entire season, it would be way tougher. I will say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my last 4 years of May consisted of turkey hunting from daybreak till noon, coming back, taking a nap, and then going out fly fishing in the evening. So I take the whole month of May. I wouldn't even get a job. Wouldn't start my job till the beginning of June, just so I have the whole month off to hunt turkey and fish. I just figure I might as well enjoy myself while I'm young now. Because starting next year, I'll be in the hospital working my life away. So I enjoyed it while I could.
But there,
Yep, that's time.
they work 12s there, so it'll be nice for you, won't it?
Yeah, for what I'm getting into, my schedule should be pretty sweet. Still, I got to work 3 12s a week, so I'm still going to be having 4 days off a week to hunt. And then the way you actually you can kind of schedule your own schedule, where you can do you can load it up in the beginning. That way you can do 5 12s in a row, and you get about 7 or 8 days off in a row then too. So what I'm getting into schedule wise is that's one of the big reasons why I got into nursing, is for the schedule aspect of it, that I'll have a lot of time to hunt.
You better enjoy it now. You'll be wifed up and have little ones running around before long.
Yeah,
maybe you
not.
mentioned the old rattlesnake hunting. Let's dive into that a little bit. What was the itch for that? Do you have a mentor for that, or is that just kind of
No,
learn
that
it
was
yourself?
stupidity, probably. I don't know. I've always never been a real big fan of snakes, any type of snake at all. Even now, even I love rattlers now, but even seeing a black snake, I still kind of get the jitters. But yeah, I don't know. Last year, I just kind of got out of nowhere. I was like, I kind of want. I think I was watching a YouTube video. It's probably the Leatherwood Outdoors, watching that John Royer, and I was like, yeah, that would be kind of cool, to go hunt some rattlesnakes, literally holding death in your hands. So we kind of got into it last year, me and my buddy Swags, and we got into it real late, only the last 3 weeks of the season, and we spent the first we didn't even really get out of the car. We just rode. We would go up north in this road crew trying to find them on the road, and we ended up finding 2 alive and 2 dead last year. But the one on the second to last day of the season, we had a buddy. We went to a den and we found a 51-inch black phase rattlesnake. And for rattlesnakes, for measurement wise, anything over 50 inches would be considered a Pope and Young, and then anything over 60 would be a Boone and Crockett. But there isn't an actual scoring system, but that's how you would probably score them. Over 50 is a Pope and Young, and over 60 is Boone and Crockett. So first year, the first snake I ever tagged was a 51-inch black phase, which was a heck of a snake. We actually ate it, and it was really good, surprisingly. But yeah, we didn't get out of the car much. We just did it, just scared. It is scary. And this year, did a lot more research, and then throughout the year, just thought of more spots and scouted it out. And the week before the season, we went out and we found a den on this road, and we saw 11 there. And on the very first day, I went to a den that I found turkey hunting up in Potter County. There was 8 there. But yeah, I got into it. I don't even know why. It's kind of be like a little rebellious, I guess. And I actually fell in love with it. Like grouse hunting is one of my favorite things to do now. But yeah, it's scary. I know whenever I get done, a lot of time I don't even make it home without falling asleep because you're so hypersensitive. Like every sense you have is super heightened whenever you're walking through grass up to your knees. Any step you can step on a rattlesnake. Every step you got to make sure you're not stepping on one. Your eyes are peeled, but yeah, like when I'm done, my eyes are just tired. I can barely keep them open just because I'm so hyper focused. But yeah, it actually is really fun. And the rattlesnake is probably the most misunderstood animal in Pennsylvania by far. Out of all the snakes, because we go out looking for them, we find these other snakes. Like you find a garter snake, they come right at you. They're striking at you. So they're right towards you. Rattlesnake, if you saw one there and you walk past it, it wouldn't even buzz. Like half the time they don't even buzz at you. They just want to be left alone. They're actually just even like the young ones. You'll grab a young one once in a while and they'll bite my tongs. You'll see the venom shoot out and stuff. But a lot of the bigger mature ones, you pick them up, they buzz for half a second, and you put them back down. They slither away real slowly. They want to do with you as much as you want to do with them. But yeah, it's a blast. It's you'd be very surprised how many rattlesnakes there are and how close to home they are. Because we're from like Central PA here, where there really isn't too many. There's some out your way a little bit over there, but like in Dubois here, there's really none. But you'd be surprised how close they actually are to home.
Yeah, I know there was one killed here in town this year, but I mean, other than that, you don't really hear about them from Brockway. But you get 10, 15 minutes from here, it's nothing to run into one. It's no surprise, honestly. But I'm sure it's a heck of an adrenaline rush. Have you guys had any close calls or anything?
No, not really. Thank God. We really take our time. We're very, very careful. Like we're never careless about it because it wouldn't take much to, you get more than likely I wear steel toe boots and I have chaps that go up to my knees. But I know the one den we went up to in Potter County, it's like almost straight up and down the hill. And there's some parts of that because the den it's an old like a landslide. It's all flat shale rock. So when you're walking, you're slipping down too. So like that'd be the time you get bit, you'd slip and fall into a rattlesnake and get bit somewhere. But that hill's also so steep that like when you're looking in front of you, if there was one laying there, it'd be right about chest level with you. That's how steep the hill is. So if you did get bit, you get nailed. So that's the spot we really take our time at. But we find a lot of big snakes up there. But yeah, you need the chaps just to be safe. And then I bought a 60-inch tong, which is the longest one I could find. A lot of guys will run with these like 36-inch hooks. They'll just because the tongs squeeze them, you can hurt the snakes. Because you don't like people when you grab them, you don't want to grab them by the head at all. So you pick them up, they thrash pretty good, and you wouldn't believe how freaking strong they are, even the little ones. So like the guys are really into it. They don't want to hurt them. Also, like these hooks and those throw the hook and grab it by the tail and hold it. And but yeah, I'm not too crazy about that. So I had the 60-inch tongs, the biggest ones I could find, and if you pick them up in the midsection of the body, it don't really hurt them. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Now, what do they taste like? I heard they taste like chicken. Is that true?
They do taste like chicken. They're actually surprisingly really good. The only thing, the one we caught it on a Friday night and ate it Saturday evening, and we didn't refrigerate it at all. So I don't know if that's something to do with it, but it was really chewy. It was like almost to the consistency. It wasn't too far off of like bubblegum chewy. It was kind of. But we were up at camp celebrating, so we were a little tuned up, so it tasted good to eat no matter what. But it did taste good, just a little chewy.
I don't like snakes. You guys can do all that you want. I'm out. Nope.
I think like you were saying how like rattlesnakes are like the most misunderstood animal in PA. I definitely agree with that. Like that, I've worked around them a lot. They're real docile. They don't, like you said, they don't come after you and try to bite you and kill you.
No.
But like, it's weird. Like when I worked around them for let's just say 3 months, by like month 1.5, I was pretty okay with just walking around, not really caring, like because I knew that they weren't coming after me. But since then, that fear of the rattle still comes back. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to go out a little bit south of me and walk around and scout just because I know there's rattlesnakes out there.
Yeah, when you hear them buzz, that's a eerie sound, man. Like especially that first one they catch on even as we've caught 36 so far this year, but every time we go out, that first one buzzing, I'm always shaking like a leaf. That adrenaline just really gets you. After you catch when we get to those dens, then there's snakes all around. You get used to it, but yeah, actually, if you look at where rattlesnakes live, they really only live in like pristine country. Like if there's rattlesnakes, it's very pristine, nice hardwoods, usually nice mountains. So where you usually find rattlesnakes, there's usually a higher population of bear. It's just more they live in more pristine areas. And they do a pretty big role in the ecosystem as well.
I know right across. I'm not gonna say exactly where we're at. We'll talk later about that. But I know they are close by from me, but it's kind of weird, honestly. And people say that the creek causes it not to cross the creek, like the rattlesnakes don't cross the creek. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I've never seen them by my house personally. But I know very, very well that 9-10 miles away from my house, there's rattlesnakes all day.
Yeah,
that's what's crazy.
Yeah, they can actually swim pretty well.
I know that for a fact, but where I live at, there's rocks out the freaking wazoo, and you think there'd be some there, but nobody's ever seen them like near my house, and there's a lot of rocks there. But I know darn well not even like 5-10 miles away, dude. It's not very far. Like from a crow flies easily. There's definitely rattlesnakes. I've seen them there before too.
Yeah, that's also like kind of a misconception too. Is people always think they're always in rocks. We actually found more rattlesnakes in log piles this year than we did rocks. But people like when we were getting into it, we were reading that they come out like when the sun first hits the rocks, and then right after the sun sets, so then they're out. And that's more common I see with rocks, whereas because they always talk about when it gets too hot, they can't regulate their body temperature, so they go away like midday when it's real hot. But we actually found more snakes in log piles in the hottest part of the day than we did anything else this year. And I think because that wood pile doesn't get as heated and it keeps the moistures while they're in them. Also, like the rock, they're pretty well exposed to predators, whereas a wood pile, like there's one spot we go to. We always see one here. There's a cut stump, and they usually lay right on top of that stump. I'll coil it up. But whenever they see you, they just fall right off the back and they're gone. That log pile, you can't catch them. Whereas the rocks, they got to come off the rock, go down, and they're just a lot more susceptible to predators. People are always like real careful, like walking around stuff. They stay very close to cover. Like they don't stray too far from cover, because if they do, they will get nailed by hawks and stuff. Like a lot of the time, there's just one like gas well pad we go to, and the whole surrounding of it is all cut trees that they cut down and cleared with, and it's like all a big log pile around. And we have yet to find one in that pad, but right this far from the edge, like a foot from the edge, is where they lay. They usually lay within about a second or two where they can get to cover to be safe.
Now, I've personally seen more this way, but I just think it's because they're traveling, across the roads wise. But like right before a storm hits, like when it gets really muggy and nasty, you know what I'm saying? Like today would probably have been a great day because it's pouring right now and a storm right now. We've seen more snakes, it seems like from like noon to like dark before like a storm hits at night, you know what I'm saying? Like they're moving sense. Before they make I don't know why, but we've always seen more like cross the road like before, especially at Parker Dam, because Parker Dam's like when we came to Parker Dam, man, every single time before like a storm, you can just get that muggy feeling when you know it's gonna storm that night. Yeah, we always see a bunch more snakes just cross the road. Just going back to their dens. They're going back to their dens is what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, people they travel a lot more than you think too. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but I've read in a couple of different places that the males will travel up to 10 miles from den to den breeding, and the females will travel up to like 2 miles hitting gestation sites to give birth and get bred and stuff. So yeah, it's most of the time you find a big lone one out on like a road, it's more likely than a male looking to breed, whereas the females usually tend to stay in the dens and together. But yeah, they're interesting. It's a lot of fun to get into, and I'm actually glad I got into it, because you would not freaking believe how well they can camouflage themselves on the ground. There's a lot of spots where we'll stop and we'll stand there for 2-3 minutes before, and they're sitting there 2 feet from your foot, and it took you 3 minutes to see them, and you're looking at them the whole time. They can camouflage in unbelievably. So I'm glad I did get into that aspect, because now I know what to look for in places where they can be laying, like stepping over logs. I won't be doing that anymore in the woods, especially like northern woods in summertime. Yeah, you got to be real careful stepping over logs and stuff. So for safety aspect, I'm glad I got into it. So now I gotta kind of understand what they're about.
I know Alex told me a story. I don't know where he was at, but him and his dad were somewhere. And you told me that in spring turkey, it was like the end of season. Your dad almost got zapped by one. I remember you telling me a story about that.
Yeah, that was when I was younger. Actually, I stepped right over the log like it was nothing. Well, then he was getting ready to step over, and it was just laying up underneath it. But it was pretty cold yet, so he wasn't even rattling or anything. He was pretty dormant for the most part. He wasn't too active. But actually, 2 summers ago, I ran into one up north here. It was stupid. I had a weird feeling before I even tried crawling through this log pile. Instead of walking through it, I was going to run into one, and I stepped on it, and there was 2 logs. I went to step the other log. It was right in between and started rattling. I just hurried up and jumped off the other side, and he just kind of slithered up into the log pile a little further. It definitely got my heart pumping.
Yeah, I almost stepped on this spring hunting turkey. I just walked down the road. I was filming my dad one day, right down a logging road. I was coming down, and if I would have stepped, I'd have stepped right on a big yellow phase. It was a nice, big, gorgeous yellow one, but I was about a foot away from stepping on him. I saw him, and I jumped. I could have dunked the basketball how high I jumped when I saw him.
So, do you run into like copperheads too? You see many of those?
I've yet to find a copperhead.
Okay, because I know like a lot of times when I think we hit a den like once or twice when I was working down south, and there was a couple copperheads that were utilizing the same den.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know guys in Pennsylvania that have like they take pictures and post them on these Facebook groups I'm in, and yeah, you'll see them together. But I've yet to find a copperhead yet. Copperheads scare me because they don't rattle though. Just venomous snake with no rattle.
Yeah,
At least the
you don't know where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, copperheads are quite a bit more aggressive, but I've never ran into a copperhead ever.
No, I have. I don't. At least where we've been hunting, I don't think there is too many.
I know my grandpa's ran into a couple copperheads up in St. Mary's area, but I never heard them, and I've never heard anything around our area, like locally. I've never heard anything around here. But he did tell me whenever he did run into it, they're meaner than crap, and they'll just start going at you, like kind of like heck of the snakes down in Louisiana and all the southern areas. Cottonmouths. They're like that. He said they're freaking meaner than crap, and they'll just come right at you. They don't care. They just want to fight. Screw that. I don't like snakes at all. Like garter snake, any kind of little snake, rat snakes, man, I'm running. I'm screaming like a little girl. I grab a hoe or something. I'm taking care of business. I ain't messing with them. Nope. I don't know how people do that. Like I've had so many people, dude, you need to go to the rattlesnake hunt. Nope. You can just take that and just shove it. Go. I'm not touching a snake. I hate snakes. Just I don't know, man. I guess the fact of just like I don't like I've held snakes before. I've done all that crap, dude. I just don't like it. Not my cup of tea. You guys.
Yeah, it is kind of a stupid game to get into because I know we looked it up. They had 2 vials of anti-venom at DuBois, and they had 3 vials in St. Mary's. But a guy actually got bit at the cinnamon hunting rattlesnake hunt, and I guess he used up all of those vials. And they shipped them to Pittsburgh, and they were still pumping them full. So right there, I think each vial is roughly like a $20,000 bill. So that's $100,000 right there in vial snake anti-venom, along with that $20,000 helicopter ride down to Pittsburgh. So it's a pretty pricey thing to get bit, as well as you might die too.
Listen, man, I went to that. I don't know how many years. I want to know how many times people got bit up there, and they still do that. I don't know how they get away with doing that, man. I know
most of those guys have got bit before.
I know, like that's my thing, dude. Like, why would you keep on trying to get bit? Like your life's in danger. Like,
yeah,
they must love it. It's like it's an addiction. People say it's like a drug, but I've never done it. Screw that.
Yeah, I know a lot of the guys that are real into rattlesnakes, I find to be kind of a stranger people. But then here I am, I'm into it, so maybe I'm the strange dude. So I don't know.
Yeah, one of the old fellas I talked to up here, he said someone just got bit up in Claremont like last week or something, and they shipped them out to. I think they shipped them out. I want to say Pittsburgh, but I'm not exactly sure. Just because they just take precautions, and it ended up being a dry bite. So he got
lucky.
He at least got that $20,000 price tag, but he didn't have the extra $100K on it.
Yeah.
I heard the same story, Moss, about that.
Yeah, that's the area, dude. If you want some snakes, go out there.
I know there's a lot of people that have gotten bitten that have had the dry bite experience. I think Joe Pahala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got bit when he was 12, I think, or something like that. It was something crazy. I remember him telling me. I don't know exactly the whole story, but there's a lot more people that get bit around our area that we know about, and it's just that, like, I don't know what it's like. I know anywhere closer to your heart or chest area, like Gage was saying, that's a death wish, because as soon as it goes to your heart, you're dead. I know for a fact. But I'm not sure where it's at. There's certain parts. I'm not a doctor. I'm not anything along the lines, but I know as soon as it gets to your bloodstream or to a certain point, you're dead.
It clots your blood, and then once that blood clot either gets into your heart or lungs, it's about over, or it can make it to your brain, have a stroke. It'd be bad. It's not something you want to deal with. That's why you gotta be extremely careful if you get into it.
All right. Well, let's talk about deer. Are you ready for this deer season? What do you think? Any expectations? I will say I think this year's going to be a great year. The antler growth was looking very good this year. I will say that. And that's for darn sure.
Yeah, I'm starting to, like I said, I've been pretty hung up on turkeys, and I've been in this rattlesnake, but the rattlesnake's over here in a week, and I've slowly starting to shift towards deer hunting here. I planted 2 food plots last week, which I usually don't run any food plots, but I had a company, they're called Solu Cow. They sent me some lime they want me to try out. So I'm making a video. If you guys want to look for that in the near future, I'm gonna be posting that fairly soon. But I'm trying out their lime to see how it grows. But yeah, the mass crop this year is unbelievable. There's acorns, beech, hickory. I haven't checked grapes yet, but there's magnolia, cucumbers. The mass crop's unbelievable this year. We had that, and there's also apples. So food wise, it's going to be unbelievable. So I'm expecting a pretty good season. Hopefully the populations of deer and turkey can use this year to boost off and really grow. But yeah, I know with school I'm gonna have actually this fall I should have a little decent amount of time off. But I'm not really gonna be too picky. First half decent buck I get on film, I'm probably gonna try to harvest. Because even with school, even if the little time I say I have time, but I really don't have a whole lot of time. So yeah, first decent buck I get on film, I'm probably gonna try to take.
Now, do you hunt down by like where your school's at, or do you mostly just hunt your areas where you always hunt?
Yeah, I've hunted down at school a little bit. Actually, down where I go to school is actually there's quite a bit of public land. They're all small parcels, and they get pretty well pounded, but they're actually for some reason they're full of wildlife. I did hunt down there a little bit. I never did get a buck down there. I got a turkey, but yeah, mostly just sticking to my spots I always do. But also the big part I want to get this out of this year. I want to start getting into the public land aspect of deer hunting. That's something like turkeys. I almost hunt exclusively public land, but for deer, I very rarely ever hunt public. So I would like to just get into that because honestly, I lost almost all my private land spots. I only have 2 spots I have permission to hunt left, and instead of just going out and trying to find new private land spots, I'd much rather just get into like the bigger wood mountain buck hunting type stuff.
It's definitely challenging. I haven't jumped the gun. I mostly gun the rut because I'm not gonna lie to you, I feel like the rut activity is more better than like farm areas because there's less does. I feel like in certain spots, that's just my personal opinion. I've had more rut activity in the bigger wood aspects than the farmland aspects. I will say that, but that's just my personal opinion on the side of things, what I see. So
Yeah, that makes sense. I have to agree with you there.
I don't see shit on public. But all right, fellas, we're getting close to an hour here. I know we all got work tomorrow. Gage, I don't know if you've paid attention the last couple of weeks. We kind of like to end it with we like to call it a hot button topic. And then it's just kind of like a round table, voice our opinion, and there's no rebuttal to it. So I don't know. I don't have one. If one of you guys have a topic, that'd be awesome.
So there's something that irritates us.
Yeah, like crossbows versus compounds, or something
We're not
that.
gonna get into that.
You don't have to just do that one. We're trying. Just think one on the fly. Try to think one.
Yep. The thing, I guess,
All
if I
right,
say something
trail
that
cam.
bothers me. Okay. All right, trail cam. So we're gonna talk about
No,
What do
yeah,
you
about the
bands,
ban. I want to know what
ban
you
and
think
cell
about that.
cams. How I feel about that? I
well,
don't.
well, that's the question. So basically, what's your question, Alex?
What you think about the ban on trail cams? I mean, there's multiple states that have done it now. I mean, Delaware, I'm pretty sure, is one of them. Kansas has done it on all public
So,
lands.
so your question is, should we ban cell cameras or
No,
just trail
I
cams
just want to
generally?
know what his no, I just want to know what his thought
Yeah.
on it is general, like if they did it or not. Like, how do you feel about it?
If they
Would it
did
affect
it,
his hunting?
it truly wouldn't affect me because I don't really run that many cameras. I'm more of a just I go out, I scout, I pick out. I have enough woodsmanship where I feel like I have enough woodsmanship where I can just pick out the best spot in the area and I'll go hunt it. Like I know if they're there, I'll see them eventually. Yeah, I don't run too many cameras. I know cameras definitely changed the game for sure. Um, I think without trail cameras, you would see a lot less big bucks being killed for sure. I mean, I've used trail cameras to get a couple bucks myself, just studying when they're coming in and trying hunting based off that, which it works for sure. But the last couple of years, like, just being busy with school, I don't run that many cameras. I just hunt my spots, stay true to them. I'm really big on access in and out, so I make sure I have a really good access in and out. I'm really hell bent on scent control too. So I hunt a lot of the same spots over and over, but I see deer there over and over as well. But just the way I'm hunting. But personally, for me, if they banned trail cameras, that wouldn't bother me. It wouldn't really change the way I hunt too much. But I could definitely see them banning. Like, I mean, I would definitely be upset because running trail cameras is a blast. Even just checking them, it's just fun. But I could definitely get behind the banning of cell cameras for the fact that, like, especially for like bear season and stuff like that, and even like rifle for deer is like some, especially mostly like bear. Like, if you got a picture of a bear, on a cell camera, you'd be 2 hours away. Well, it'd be a long time, but you could be somewhere else and haul ass that spot and get there and get that bear that you would have never even known that was there. So in that aspect, I don't agree with the whole cell camera. I could get behind banning for that reason, but yeah, I know that'd make a lot of people unhappy. That's for sure. But yeah, my overall opinion is for me, it wouldn't affect too much of just the way I hunt. I don't really rely on cameras. Like last year, where I got my buck, I kept hunting it over and over because I kept seeing deer and I kept seeing bucks. But actually, on trail camera, I never got a buck on trail. I put my camera out in July. I don't think I got a buck on trail camera until like October 29th. But I kept hunting because I kept seeing deer and bucks. They just weren't going in front of my trail camera, which I also think is a big thing too. Is people rely on trail cameras too much. It's like that right there, for example. I was seeing deer and bucks, but they just weren't going in front of my trail camera. If I relied just solely on my trail camera, I would never got that buck.
Moss, your opinion?
I think honest to God, I think PA is not far behind these other states. I think it's a pretty far shot. Just saying, if you got a picture on your cell camera of a buck in front of your camera, and then you're able to drop everything and go out there, and you're still going to kill that buck, I think it's a far shot. But obviously, it still happens. I don't know. I would be mad if they banned trail cameras in general, but if they ban cell cameras, big deal. That saves on my credit card bill, to be honest.
All right, my opinion. I'm gonna obviously not like the ban if they did ever ban it in Pennsylvania because I just like doing it just to see pictures of deer because like I like to know what's in my area. But like Gage says, I don't really use it personally. I will say the cell camera did ruin it for me last year. I will say that because I didn't hunt a spot because I never got a picture of a buck hitting my scrape. Well, my cell camera was broke and I missed the opportunity with that buck. So there's that. So I will say that did kill me. And any other time, if I would have known that, like prime example, I had a non-cell camera. I knew there's a deer in that area. I went in there and I almost caught that deer. And then I obviously did harvest my deer in the same area because I know what time, like he was saying, that certain time of year, I know like where to hunt at because I know there's always going to be deer in that time of year. So I guess that's another thing why I would be upset with the camera aspect. But the cell camera thing, like Moss is saying, they probably will ban cell cameras in Pennsylvania. We're just talking about PA eventually. Do I think they'll ban trail cameras? Maybe just because we know how Pennsylvania is. But I hope they don't ban it. But more likely, probably going to end up happening. So that's my opinion on them banning cameras and how I feel about it.
I say ban them all and make it that much more exciting. Honestly, I think it would. And I mean, it'd show your true woodsmanship for one, but it'd be exciting. You wouldn't know what's in that area. You'd be hunting deer based off of tracks, stuff like that, rubs, a sign. I mean, unless you live in an area, you can go out in glass and do stuff like that. But when it comes to the big woods, you'd be hunting solely just off your woodsmanship skills. And I think it'd be that much more exciting not knowing what's in the area. And then say you're in the stand someday and, that buck that you've been seeing the big tracks or whatever comes out and it's just a doozy. It's just the excitement of it.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. Definitely. I like hunting a spot where I don't exactly know what's there, because sometimes you shoot a nice buck and you go up to you're not really sure what to expect. That's a lot of fun. And like you said, you definitely have to hunt, because I think, especially people that have good piece of pub or private land, which I'm talking crap on it, but I'm extremely jealous. I wish I had a nice 200-acre chunk that I could do this on. But they really just we call it the outdoor channel hunting, where they're just relying solely on the cameras. Where they did ban them, you actually have to hunt that. Even if it just would make it, you'd have to just increase your woodsmanship to get to that point.
Well, I will say it used to be like that for all of us. Trail cams really weren't big till probably, I'd say 2010 to 2012, in that range. It didn't get big till then.
Yeah.
So I mean honestly, I whenever I first started hunting, man, I never ran a trail cam until, honestly, I don't think I started running trail cams legit till I was probably a sophomore or freshman in high school. You know what I'm saying? So that's freaking been 10 years now. So 10 years, honestly, from first starting out hunting, dude, I remember running a gosh darn, I think it was a Wild Game Innovation, the big D battery flash cameras, dude, that would took crappy pictures. Your battery died in less than 2 days. You know what I'm saying? The trail cam industry's gone so freaking wild, and yeah, it's gonna hurt some businesses, that's for darn sure. But I will say it was way more fun. You'd have to go spotting, you'd have to go glassing before dark right now this time of year to see what kind of bucks were in your area. It's a totally different way to hunt now than it was back now to then. You can be way more lazier to hunt now and still kill a bigger buck. Back then,
Absolutely.
You had to put the time in and put the effort in, and you don't see that anymore.
That's a good way to put it. That's a really good way to put it.
But
honestly, go ahead, Moss. You're good.
But out of the four of us, how many of us can say a trail camera has helped us kill a single buck?
For me, one.
That's pretty good.
It should have been two. A couple years ago, I was chasing that freaking monster that I ended up hitting, and he lived. I was hunting him based off. Well, I was hunting him based off trail cameras. I was also doing a lot of scouting for him too. So it was a very equal combination of both.
I will say, trail cams, the only thing they're really good for is, we already said, pattern in the certain times of year where your areas are good, because there's a consistency, I think, in certain areas. Prime example, rut areas in some of my spots. First week in November till the second week, end of October, first week in November, is money there. You go to Ohio, man, or a different part of the country or a different part of the state, man, the rut's different times, and you don't know that till you run a camera there the whole entire year. Some places in PA, there's a good rut the third week of October, and then some places in PA it's not till later, where I'm at. It's just different areas that have different ruts.
Kind of what Gage was saying, I think trail cameras spark your woodsmanship. You know there's a buck in there, you want to go in and start scouting more and stuff like that. I just don't really think, I think it's 1% of people that can, if they're hunting public, at least 1% that can go and hunt a specific buck based off of trail camera data.
Yeah, no doubt there.
All right, what's the next topic going to be?
We're ending it, bud.
We're ending on that?
Yep, we're good. It's
all
bedtime.
Right, sounds good. Well, thanks, Gage, for coming on. If you want to plug in again your information of where we can follow you at, and you can do that right now.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I had a blast. That was a good time. But yeah, if you want to find me, get a hold of me, go ahead, shoot me a message. My Instagram is Gauge Gulvas, or just look up Gauge Gulvas. My YouTube's Hardwoods Hunting TV. Get on there, check out a video or two. You might like it, you might not. But yeah, between YouTube and Instagram, you should be able to find me pretty easy.